Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Joshua. I'm going to be your presenter today. It's promptly 1 p.m. Eastern Time here. I hope everybody can hear me okay. We're here to talk about Church Windows version 24, installation, conversion, and security for the new Church Windows Payroll. First thing is, typically it's highly recommended that when you install any update for Church Windows, that you back up your data before you do it. You want to make sure your data is protected in either case, okay? So, we hope you're backing up the software with some regularity either way, okay? But if not, then definitely make sure before you install the update that you're updating or making a backup of your Church Windows data. There should be a security protocol or backup protocol in place either way, but if not, before you do it, it is simple as coming in here to Church Windows, go to administration, go to backup. There's only one option called all data. It will only say membership, scheduler, donations, and accounting initially. You choose the browse button, choose the backup to path. So let's say we choose desktop, click OK, and then simply click begin backup. And it will then create a backup of your data. Folks, backup is essentially peace of mind that you've got a copy of the data before your update was installed. So whether everything goes south or whether it goes smoothly, it's unlikely that something will go wrong, but just in case it does, you've got a backup in a restore point to go back to, and your data is protected either way, okay? So I would simply, once choosing that location, simply click begin backup. Takes a few seconds on that, and he said, as it was waiting for it to back it up. But then you'll see it'll say backup completed successfully. And now when we X out of Church Windows or looking on the upper left of our desktop up here below Payroll, it says CW data backup 4/19/2022 at whatever date. Here it is, a timestamp of 1:04 p.m. and 20 seconds. Okay. So now we know we've got a backup of our data. And I'm being asked here, should you back up data if on the cloud? Folks, that's a good question. It's your data. So while the cloud, Summit or Cloud9 are backing up your data, if you make backups on your own, your data is just extra protected. So sure, we would always recommend cloud customers back up their data too if they want. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the installation. So now let's say you're going to receive the email from us with the installation file for version 24, and you're going to save that file to your computer. I've closed out of Church Windows. I'm now going to go to my location where I've backed it up. I've got a Church Windows version 24 installer file here. When I right-click on that or double-click on it, it should start our installation process. So as always, typically it's going to say, do you want to allow the changes to make changes to your device or computer? We're going to click yes on that. And it takes a few seconds, but it will start our install Shield Wizard. I've closed out of my location where that is. So it's going to say, typical screens for, installing Church Windows. It's welcome to the Install Shield Wizard. So install Church Windows on your computer. We're going to click next. It does detect, and it should detect your current installation, okay? And then right here, ours is C:\CW. We're going to go ahead and click next, okay? So then it prompts up with our installer may need to install or update various components. There may be pauses in between installations. Please wait, okay? So now it's going to begin the installation process, okay? So while it's doing this, I'm going to talk about some other things. Not updating SQL Server, folks. It's just updating Church Windows. We're not installing a new version of SQL. It's still SQL 2017. So this should be a very quick process, okay? So now we're going to click next. It confirms our installation path, C:\CW. I'm going to talk about the network situation or environment if it occurs for you here momentarily once we do this. So this is all correct. We're now going to click install. So if Church Windows is networked, then you're going to want to install the update on your server first, then your workstations, okay? If Payroll is only locally installed on one machine, then the conversion process that we're going to go through here momentarily will occur on that Payroll computer only, okay? If Payroll is networked, meaning it's installed on both your server, main server, and your workstation, then the conversion will occur on the server computer, okay? Because that's where that is. Frankly, it should be able to be done from either one. But it's all, again, dependent on whether Payroll is networked or not. Because the installation, as we're going to see here, the program is going to look for the Payroll installation. So if you're on a workstation for Church Windows and Payroll is networked, it may not allow you to access that. Either way, it will be able to be done and completed. Okay, so it's just going through, like it says, it would take some pauses here and, before it actually would complete the installation. So again, we're going to see more clearly here momentarily about what that's going to look like when it occurs. Okay, so now the installation is finished. We're going to go ahead and click Finish through that. Okay. So I'm being asked, is the installation different for cloud users? That's a good question. So we're going to send you an email notifying you that we've sent the installer files for Church Windows 24 to Summit or Cloud9, and they will facilitate installing the update for you. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and log into Church Windows. I think that's still sort of being worked out, but it will occur. But when we launch Church Windows now, it will now say Church Windows version 24. Okay. Here it says version 24.22.0. So the installation is fine. It's now updating the database itself within it from 23 to 24. And here I am back to my regular login credentials for the software. And I would enter my username and password, and I would click OK. Okay. Okay. So Payroll now shows as being locked on that. This is one of the things that we wanted to show with regards to this, okay, was Payroll for any users when they're logging into the software is going to show as being unavailable until we go in and enable that, okay? So I now have to go into Payroll Administration Security. I have to choose my username, go to the Payroll, click Allow User Access to Payroll module, click Save and Close, okay? So now I'm going to close all the way out and we're going to re-log back into Church Windows, okay? Sorry, folks, it just takes a little bit of extra time here on this, okay? So I'm going to enter my credentials again and my password, and now I click OK. So now notice Payroll says trial. This is okay. I have not merged or migrated my data into Church Windows yet. So now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to click on Payroll, and it's going to pop up and say, this module has not been activated. You have a license key. We're going to click No to begin using the trial version. So when we click No on that, it now is going to be launching the Payroll. And this is where you have to choose the second option here, which is to convert existing Payroll data, okay? Technically, we could answer yes or no to that, and it would still allow us to do this. It's just shorter and faster if we say no to continuing the trial. So now I'm going to say no, convert, or choose convert existing, the middle one, not the empty databases, not cancel, the one right here in the very center that says convert existing payroll data, okay? So now it's searched my computer and it's found my CWPay data folder with my payroll MDB file in it, okay? You may have to do that, but the installer did find it. If it's installed locally to say C:/CWPay, it should find it. If you have questions or problems with this when it occurs, please call us. We're happy to help with that. So we're going to highlight that file and click Open. And now notice it's actually converting our existing payroll data. Notice it's gone all the way back. It's bringing, notice all my years are being brought forward from, I think I've got payroll from 2004 all the way up to present. So this is why it's important to do this, is because it's going to bring all of your historic payroll data into the new version, okay? So notice we're now up to 19 to 20. Now, folks, we've only got typically a few months worth of data in here. Yours might take a little bit longer, okay, to do that. So it'll say, now, important information, payroll is now successfully converted and integrated into Church Windows. Please check over your data in the new payroll. Contact support if there are any issues or you have questions. When you're comfortable, you may uninstall the original payroll application. Okay, we're not going to cover that today, but it'll say Church Windows needs to exit at this time, re-enter as you would normally. So we're going to click OK on that. And now notice that the word trial is now off the payroll software, off the payroll link here, okay? And it is now licensed. So because you've integrated or upgraded or converted existing payroll data, the software has licensed the payroll module for you, okay? There is nothing else you need to do, all right? It did say exit Church Windows. We don't have to exit Church Windows. It's there. It's licensed. I can if I really want to, but it's unnecessary. So now when we click on the payroll module, payroll, it now opens. And now if I go up to something like, say, payroll, and I like to do this, folks, as a point of a reference point or point of reference, as the case may be, is I'm going to go into the window that says void individual pay. I'm not voiding anything, okay? It's now if I go into void individual pay, it just allows me to examine all of the paychecks that I've posted for folks. And sure enough, through my training data, I only have pay dates through June 23rd, but it shows all of my pay dates for 2022 right here, dating all the way back to the first start of the year. Then if we click up here, notice all of my other previous payroll years, 21, 20, all the way back to 2005 are there for me, okay? If I go into, say, employee/contractor here in the center, all of my current contractors and employees are there. There's Joe Greenthumb, our landscaper. If I uncheck contractors, here's all of my employees, our senior pastor Larry, custodian Jimmy, our associate pastor Steve, with all of their information as it was brought into from the payroll module, okay? So again, this is what we're stating about how you want to go into these portions of this and reassure yourself that the payroll data is correct and current as it was in the payroll data itself the last time you left it or last time you calculated that, okay? So in this case, we verified that, and that is the case, okay? So one of the things that we were wanting to really show, okay, so we're now reassured that our payroll data is current, okay? I can now go ahead and calculate. I'm now going to be calculating payroll from this point forward in the new version 24. I'm not going to be calculating it in the old program, the old icon that sits on the desktop, okay? But as we said, security is impacted by this, okay? All of our current usernames and passwords are going to be denied access to payroll systematically. We saw that when we logged in. Okay, when I logged in as Nate, it said, hey, payroll is unavailable. Why? Because it's got oftentimes sensitive information in there. Pay rates, social security numbers, addresses, phone numbers, okay? So again, as part of the conversion process, everyone will be denied access into payroll, okay? So if I close out of that and I go back into administration and security, and I now go, okay, I want to add a new user. So it says payroll access is turned off by default for new users. Please see the payroll tab to give them access. All the other modules start out with full access. So if I now click OK on that, and I now go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to enter Josh Allen, and my username is Josh, and I'm going to enter a password. And notice here, access security screens. And now under all the other modules, notice membership has allow user access to membership. Attendance has that. I've got full access to visits, scheduler, donations, accounting. Only when I click on payroll now, notice allow user access to payroll module, is that not checked, okay? Because there wasn't any way for us to folks to, payroll had its own separate security function, which was different from Church Windows. So we didn't want to create multiple profiles in the software for users. So if your payroll user is already set up in Church Windows there, then all you have to do is have your security administrator come in here, choose their name, go to the payroll tab, check allow user access to payroll module, okay? If they're not in your Church Windows database, you're going to do just like we did here. You're going to click Add. You're going to set them up with the appropriate permissions. Maybe they will only do the payroll, okay? So if I were, say, going to be the payroll administrator, I would check Allow User Access to Payroll, but maybe I would only say, hey, under Transactions, allow me to create only the payroll transactions in accounting, as the case may be. Probably here I would want to leave probably full access to accounting. Yeah, you'll have to decide that, okay? You'll have to decide, how that's going to work with regards to what access the payroll person has access to. But I can still come in here and go, okay, I'm not going to allow them access to donations, not give them access to scheduler, attendance. I can uncheck all that stuff. Okay, notice once I uncheck attendance, membership access, attendance and visits went away. Okay, maybe I don't want to be set up as a security administrator. Okay, so now when I do save and close and I exit out and I log back in as myself, sorry folks, it takes a little bit of time sometimes to get this to launch. Come on. Maybe I didn't double click on it correctly. Okay. Come on. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to enter my new credentials, not the prior security administrator's credentials. Okay. So say I am now set up there. It's now separate username and password. Now notice you see membership scheduler donations have locks on them. Accounting and payroll don't. Okay. So now I can go into payroll and or accounting and do my business there without necessarily having access to membership scheduler or donations. Again, my security administrator can set up the appropriate permissions, granular permissions that are needed for access to accounting as needed from the payroll module, but there might be some access there might be some changes or adjustments that need to be made to that, okay? Yeah, unfortunately, folks, there wasn't any way for our developers to integrate the security from the payroll into the new version 24. So security is going to be probably one of the things that your folks are going to need, or your administrator is going to need to maybe spend a little time focusing on and accessing with regards to that, okay? Or changing with regards to that. Maybe adding some new users, maybe adjusting some controls or some access for your payroll administrator in the Church Windows once you're on version 24, okay? All right, so that is where we're going to leave this event today. It is promptly 20 minutes after the hour. If you have to leave the event, thank you so much. You may exit out of the Demio and leave us, of course. Thank you so much for attending. We hope you found the event helpful, but I'm going to leave that there.